Elle Myers, and I'm going to be making a video to show you how to make whole wheat challah that is soft, light, and delicious. And over the years that I've been making this challah, many people have asked me for the recipe, and I decided to make a video so that it would be easier for people to see the technique, because I find that it's not really so much about the ingredients, but more how it is made. I just want to give a little introduction that this video is dedicated to my dear friend, Sargit Sobel, who taught me how to make this challah. When I first got married, I tried to make challah, but I wasn't very good at it. And the challah was often too sticky or too dry, and it just never came out well. And I was living in Crown Heights, and Sargit happened to be in the same building for just a weekend, and she invited me over to make challah with her. And I watched her once, and since then I've had delicious, healthy challah for my family, and I really appreciate it, so I'm going to pass along the favor. Okay, so the first thing that you start with is 4 cups of warm water. I already poured it in this bowl. I used 2 cups of boiling water and 2 cups of cold water. After that, I'm going to put in the yeast. I prepared it already. This is 3 packets or 8 teaspoons because I have a big container, so I'm just going to pour that in. Let me get a spoon. This is a great recipe to use if you don't have a mixer or if you don't want to use a mixer, because I'm going to do it all by hand. Okay, so I'm mixing in the yeast. It used to be that you used to have to wait until the yeast bubbles, but I find that it doesn't really matter if you wait or if you don't wait. As long as you mix it in, the yeast will rise. So I'm just mixing in the yeast. The next ingredient that I'm going to put in is the sugar, and this is very much like, depends on your taste. You can use honey, you can use a little more sugar, a little less sugar. I like using 1 cup of sugar. So I'm going to pour that in. Oops, a little less than a cup. More. Alright. So I'm going to put in, it's a little more than a cup. That's fine. Doesn't really matter. As you can tell, I'm not an exact scientist here. So I put in my cup of sugar, I'm mixing it in. And the next ingredient I'm going to use is oil. I'm going to put 1 cup of oil. Again, it's a little more, but doesn't really matter. At least not in this recipe. So after I put the oil in, I'm going to put the next ingredient, which is the eggs. I have pre-cracked them, so they're ready to go. I find that this recipe doesn't really matter if you want to use eggs or if you don't want to use eggs. It will still come out delicious. This is 5 eggs. You can use 3 eggs, you can use 6 eggs, or you can use no eggs. And if you use no eggs, then I would add extra water so that you can have enough flour to make a bracha. So I put in 5 eggs. And now I'm going to do the salt. The salt, I use 2 heaping tablespoons. Let me grab the salt. So you can see I'm doing 1 and 2. Okay, put that in. So far we did 6 ingredients. Challah has 7 ingredients altogether. Can you guess which one is missing? It's flour. So the flour that I like to use is a mix between regular whole wheat flour and white whole wheat flour. White whole wheat flour is whole wheat flour, but it's just from a wheat that has a much lighter pigment, a lighter color. So it looks lighter and it tastes a little lighter, but it's still the same amount of healthy nutrients that I want to have in my challah. So I'm going to start with the whole wheat. Now, usually I don't measure it, but in honor of you, I'm going to measure to make sure that you can try to copy this at home. So I'm going to put 2, 4, 6, 8 cups of regular whole wheat flour, and then I'm going to mix it with a spoon. if you want to try this recipe for the first time and not use all whole wheat flour, you can definitely use half whole wheat and half white, and it will still be delicious, or 70-30, whatever. Okay, so one of the tricks that Sargita taught me is that when you're mixing, you should mix it in the same direction. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just mixing it all in the same direction. And she taught me that you should continue mixing with a spoon until it becomes difficult. And then we're going to use our hands. So far I'm still able to mix pretty easily with the spoon. So I'm going to add more flour. Alright. Here we go. Here's the whole wheat, the white flour. Alright, so we are already up to 8 cups, so we're going to do 10, 12, and let's stop there and see if it'll be enough for now to mix and to make a dough that is good to knead with our hands. Let's see. It's okay. Oh, yeah, it's thickening up here. Using a little bit of mussels. It's really nice to have this huge bowl. I bought it on Amazon. Before I had it, I tried to make challah in a bowl that was much smaller, and I had to constantly worry about everything falling out. Okay, so now you can see this spoon is full of dough, but I'm not going to touch it because one of the magic things about this challah is I don't have to get my hands sticky, and that's what I love about it. So we're up to 12 cups of flour. I'm going to add 2 more to make 14. And what you're going to see I'm going to do is I'm going to dump it in, and I'm going to touch the flour with my hands and use my hands that are full of flour to just get the extra dough off of the spoon so that my hands don't have to get too sticky. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put the flour around this dough. I can feel that I'm going to need more, so I'll just add a little more. So we have 14 cups, so we'll just make it 16. That should be about right. Okay, so I'm pulling the dough into the center, and I'm making the flour that I dumped in go all around, so that the flour is separating the dough from the bowl. And now comes the kneading part. I'll move this to the side so you can see a little better. And the way that I knead, that Sargita taught me, is from the outside into the center. So I'm coming from the outside and I'm pushing into the center, and I'm just going to keep turning the bowl and doing that for as many times as I need until the dough has become completely, connected with the flour. So let's see how long this will take. YouTube only lets me post a video that's up to 15 minutes. So I'm trying to see if we can make this challah in under 15 minutes. I think we can do it. Okay, so as I'm turning and pressing down, my hand is never going into the center of the dough. I'm keeping my hand on the outside, and I think that why that makes such a big difference with this challah dough is that because whole wheat flour is a little thicker than white flour, you want your dough to be stickier than you would if you had a regular white challah dough recipe. And since we want it to be stickier, we don't want to put our hands into the center of the dough. We want to keep our hand on the floured outside part. Okay. This actually looks perfect. So now we know we used 16 cups of flour, and I think that will change based on what kind of flour you use. So if you use more white flour, you'll probably need closer to 17 cups, or maybe if you use pure whole wheat, maybe you'll need closer to 15 cups. I'm not sure. But the point is just to feel like you have a nice dough that pulls away from the side and that you can knead. Okay, so here's my dough. The next step is to let it rise. I'm just going to add a little bit of extra flour around the sides so that it won't stick too much to the bowl. And I'm going to cover it with a towel and get back to it in about an hour and a half to 3 hours, you know, whenever I have a chance to braid it. Okay, the dough has risen and we're ready to say a bracha and separate a piece of challah. This is my daughter Esty. Okay, we're gonna punch it down. And then I'll say the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu l'hafresh challah. Harei zu challah. And then I'll burn this. Okay, so this is a trick I learned from Sargetta too. You can make sure your table's very clean and put your dough out, and then you can divide it into the amount of challahs that you want to make. Usually I can make 6 big ones or 8 medium ones. So I'll just do half of each. So I'll make 1, 2, 3 challahs. They're not going to be exactly the same size, but at least I'll be ready to roll. And then what you can do is you can roll it out right on the table, and that kind of helps with the energy level. Yeah, look, Mommy's making challah to make your lox. So I'm going to braid my first one for you. So there's one. I put a little bit of white flour on the table, but probably will depend on your dough if you need any flour at all. This one feels pretty good. Okay, and then I'm going to just braid it from the center to kind of help with keeping it even on the bottom and the top. Okay. So that's my first one. Okay, hi, I'm back with the challahs. You can see I braided 6. I just egged them, and I want to show you the brush that I used. For many years I was using a kind of regular brush that had bristles that became very smelly. So the silicone brush is very useful. And then I'm going to put on some spices. What's the matter, Esty? Are you okay? You want to help? Okay, this is Everything Bagel Spice seasoning blend from Trader Joe's. It's really yummy on challah. So I'm going to do half like that, and I'm going to do half with just plain sesame. Esty, you want to trade? Here you go. Hold this. Thank you. And then I'm going to put these in the oven for 30 minutes on 350. And then what I like to do is switch the trays for the last 10 minutes so that they have equal chance to get crispy on the top and on the bottom. For the last 10 minutes, sometimes I lower it to 325 so that it doesn't burn too much. Okay, I just want to show you the final product. Here we have the challahs fresh out of the oven. They actually rose for another hour after I put the egg and spices on, which is why they got so big. So I think I'll just review quickly the total recipe for anyone who missed any of it. So we had 4 cups of warm water, 3 packets of yeast, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of oil, 5 eggs, 15, actually I think it was 16 cups of flour, and then we let it rise for a couple of hours, braided it, let it rise for another hour or so. Then we egged it, put on spices and seasonings, and let it bake for 40 minutes. Okay, good Shabbos and enjoy.